Welcome to the June work session. We will start with the roll call.
Mr. D'Amelio. Here. Mrs. Hall.
Present.
Mr. Siegel. Here. I believe Mr. Holmes is on the way. Mr. McGarity.
Here.
Mr. Connell.
Here.
Mr. Wexler.
Here.
Mr. Heilman.
Here.
And Mr. Oliva.
Here. Want to let everyone know that the board met in executive session on a personnel issue. And we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda would be the presentation by Tim Denny will be next month. He couldn't make it this evening, so we're going to do that next month. So we'll start with the police department. Want to give us the crime stats?
Thank you, Commissioner. The monthly report for the month of May 2014, Haverford Township experienced 5 burglaries. 3 were forced, 1 no force was used, and 1 was attempted. Property taken was cash, laptop, computers, jewelry, music processor, and camera equipment, and a bicycle. One thing to note in these burglaries, on one of the burglaries, K-9 was deployed and did track a scent and did find the stolen camera equipment, recovered it for the homeowner, and the track continued and later found a stolen bicycle at the Ardmore and P&W station. So in that case, the K-9 proved its usefulness and returned stolen property to the owner. Also, during the month of May, we had 8 thefts from autos. Some of the merchandise taken in these cars: 3 iPads, a book of blank checks, GPSs, gift cards, money clip containing $190, wallet with cash in it, credit cards, and debit cards. And all these cars were unlocked. All these crimes could have been prevented. So my message to the community is you got to lock your cars. These certainly could have been prevented. The police department wrote traffic citations this month of May. They wrote 323, gave 51 non-traffic, issued 247 warnings, and 298 parking tickets were issued last month.
All right.
That concludes
Thank you,
my
Chief.
report.
Keeping Haverford Township safe. All right, we're going to, any committee updates? No? Okay, so now we'll move into the presentation of our feasibility study for the police, municipal, and library designs.
Mr. President, if I may, as they're preparing for the presentation, I just want to remind this board, as you're well aware, at the March 10th, 2014 meeting, this board passed a resolution directing me to commission a new and complete feasibility study, prepared by a qualified architect, engineer, and planner, and present the study at this evening's meeting. We have done so. We have retained GS Architects and Mr. Galman from GS Architects, who will be here this evening to develop the feasibility plans for each of the options identified by the board, as well as in that resolution. Mr. Dave Pannoni is here. Pannoni Associates was instructed to identify the site, the parking, and access requirements. And we also have Mr. Mike Ryan from IMC Construction, who was hired to provide pre-construction services, including verification of the potential cost for these options. I've asked Lori Hannum-Widdop, obviously Assistant Township Manager, to meet with the consultants, and she did so on numerous occasions. They keep to work on the task and to report to me periodically. And I've asked Lori to give us a brief opening as well.
Okay, Laurie, before you start, just let me for the public, this presentation will be about 35, 40 minutes long. After that, the commissioners will have discussion for about 45 minutes till about 8:30. Public will be taking no public comment until the commissioners' meeting, which is next week. So next Monday, we'll sign up, And because it'll be on the agenda, right?
Yes.
For discussion, everybody will have an opportunity to speak, as well as we will be discussing it after we hear input from the public. And then we will have the work session in July. We will also be discussions, any issues that couldn't be answered for the public will be brought up at that work session. And then we will, if the board sees fit, we will make a decision we'll make a decision in the July meeting. That's the plan. Things may change. We may need more time to do things, but that's the plan. Okay? Go ahead.
Hi there. By way of background, we just wanted to remind the board members how we got to this place. The Property Committee of the Board of Commissioners prepared a master plan of the township facilities intended to be used as a guide in the preparation of a capital plan for repair and maintenance. There were several short and long-term recommendations made. They're identified on the slide to construct a building incorporating the administrative and police functions, construct a vehicle maintenance and repair garage at the Public Works Yard, which I'm very happy to say is under construction as we speak, and finally a plan for the renovation, expansion of the existing library, or alternatively the identification and acquisition of property for the construction of a new library. There was a subsequent presentation made by library representatives who submitted studies that they had commissioned with respect to their facilities. And the property committee had determined at that time to further study the inclusion of the new library into the municipal services building. Following that presentation, a resolution was adopted by the board tasking the township staff to do further study. That task included, as the manager said, directing him to retain services of professionals, to examine a wider range of possibilities. And the items are in Resolution 1929, 2014, which has been posted on the township website since its adoption by the board. Those possibilities, those alternatives were combined police municipal library buildings, a single police building, and renovated township administration and library buildings, combined police and library building, and other alternatives. The study would include for each alternate programming, site utilization sketches, approximate parking analysis, general costs and considerations, and general traffic issues and recommended strategies. To that end, as the manager pointed out, Chris Galman was hired to advance the concept plans, and Chris is going to take over the presentation for now and speak to the work that he's done on the project.
I just want to make everyone aware, this is the first time we're seeing this also. You're seeing it for the first time, we're seeing it for the first time. I made sure that nobody saw this ahead of time. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Good evening. We thought we'd start with an analysis of the site first. But these are the programs as we have been working with them. This was established the first go-around with a project that included a 24,000 square foot police station, 14,400 square foot township administration building, and then we included the library at 28,000 square feet. Now, these programs were identified with meetings with the township. They, at that point, we determined these were the square footages required to do the work safely and efficiently. The process wasn't trying to get the smallest space possible, but what we thought would work for the township now and in the future. The first site is at Manoa and Darby. This is the existing site plan. It includes the ball fields to the left, the stadium in the upper portion of the site, the parking area that feeds the different functions. There's a one-story level change through the middle of the site there that drops down to that lower parking lot. This is the Wawa site and the lower parking area to the very bottom of the site there, with access off of Darby Road, Manoa Road, and we were looking at a proposed entrance off the side road there. as a potential third entrance onto the property. With that review, we determined that the way we initially developed the site, we felt was working in terms of where the building ended up being, how to break the site. A large area in the middle of the site is flat, it allows for the most utilization of parking. Stadium and the ball fields would remain. The one-story change would allow for access on the upper portion of the site as well as the lower portion of the site. This is the first scheme identified that included the township building on the upper levels and the police station on the lower levels. Option number 2 included the addition of the library on the upper floors and more parking by creating a 2-story parking structure at the current site of the existing police station. We also included more parking by wrapping the stadium with the parking spaces. This is option number 3. This is solely the police station. Again, it's in the lower left-hand corner, not including the township building or the library. This is in the smallest footprint possible. Scheme 4 included the police station and the library. Now, that required 318 spaces, and it would require us creating a 1-story parking structure on where the police station is now. So this option is police station and library. You'll see that the library square footage is slightly less than the 28,000 square feet because we're assuming there would be some joint function which we have shared utilization between the police station and library, including meeting spaces and whatnot. So we're allowed to, or are able to build a slightly smaller library. That's option number 4. Option number 5 was more of a campus feel that allowed us to have the police station by itself on the left-hand section there, and then a library on the right. The library would include parking below it, accessed from the Manoa level there, and still have the parking in the middle of the site there. So this is option number 5. Police station on the left side, library on the right. Then option number 6 is included all 3 functions on the site again, police station and township building on the left, and then a 2-story library on the right with a 2-level parking underneath it. So we're including police station and library on the same site again with the township building on top of the police station. This requires the most parking spaces, 356 spaces. Those were the 6 options we identified to review.
That's probably going.
Then we went on to conceptual budget costing. These are items are included in the construction costs. We have a project contingency of 10%, furniture, fixture, equipment fee of another 10%. We're assuming architectural, engineering, and construction management testing fees of around 15%. So added on to the construction cost of the site and the building is another 35%. And these are in 2014 numbers. So each one of the numbers you see above includes work at the library as well as the township building. So for the first option, which is township and police station, including about $4 million worth of work over at the library and about $40,000 worth of work at the township building, the project cost is about $23 million. Option number 2. Again, this is a library, township building, and police station on the same site, and a 2-story parking garage. We're at a little bit over $29 million. Option 3, solely the police station on the site. Work at the library and also work at the township building. That's $18 million.
Does this include the 35%, did you say?
Yes.
Okay.
These fees also include all costs, 35% included on it.
Thank you.
Option 4, that's the library and police station on the site and a 1-story parking structure. That's $22,900,000. Option 5. That's the more of a campus-like feel with the township police station on the left and the library on the right, with parking underneath the library for a cost of $25 million. All these costs include all the site work on site as well as some work that's required, which Dave will go over in a little bit, required for the streets on either side of the property. And the last option, option number 6, which includes, again, all 3 functions on the site, the police station and the township building on the left, the 2-story library on the right, and 356 parking spaces. That's a little over $30 million. Next thing we did is we went over and looked at the library. At the library site, we looked at 3 different options for that project. The first options for the library we looked at was just solely making mechanical upgrades and ADA accessibility renovations to make it more useful. The cost determined for that project was $2,800,000. So that's mechanical upgrades, making the building more functional, as well as the ADA accessibility requirements met, including renovations to the bathrooms and access.
Sorry, does that include the elevator too?
Includes the elevators. Option number 2 at the library was to fully renovate it per the Casasio recommendations. Mostly a gut, new elevators, new bathrooms, and everything new inside, maintaining the existing structure. That was $5,300,000. The third option we investigated was actually tearing down most of the library, leaving the historical section of the bank in the lower left-hand corner. This would allow us to add more parking, create a parking level underneath the library, and then build the library on top of the next 2 floors. So for a total tear down and reconstruction, we're looking at a little over $11 million. That would allow for, I believe, another 26 spaces on the site. We also investigated looking at other properties adjacent to it that we maybe be acquired. How much would it cost to take one of those and create a parking lot out of that to pick up more spaces? This is just the adjacent property, and it's in the picture, so we used it. But that would be another $26,000 for the actual work, not including acquisition.
260.
That's another, looks like 17 spaces over there. Lastly, we looked at the existing township building and what we could do here. Option number 1 was, again, to do mechanical, electrical, and plumbing upgrades and some cosmetic work on the front of the building. That was determined to be around $540,000. This meeting room would stay the way it is. And option number 2, we looked at renovating the existing building, again, addressing mechanical, electrical, plumbing concerns and upgrading the exterior, as well as renovating this facility to move more of the township program into this space and moving about 5,000 square feet of space down to the new site to add it to the township facility down there. So this structure would become offices, and we would have to include space down at the new site in some format that will allow for us for a greater meeting space. And that was about $2,500,000 for that. Now, Dave will discuss some of the engineering aspects of the project.
But your video isn't working in the PowerPoint presentation, so I just need to close it and reopen it.
It might not be worth it.
Okay.
Just go
Yeah, if you want to skip it up.
Yep. As Lori mentioned, I took a look, myself and my staff took a look at the civil engineering issues associated with the property. So you can see the property, and and everybody's familiar with it, and I just want to orient a little bit. This is Darby Road, which, as we talked, that runs in a north-south direction, and this is Manoa Road, which is going to run in a west to east direction. You can see the north arrow up in the corner there, and you can see the property. You can see the property with the stadium. Down in this area is where we're talking about the building. This is the unimproved Columbia Road. It's currently a drive back to a facility back here. And what we looked at when I say civil engineering issues is we looked at the site criteria, the anomalies of the site, and the impact of those anomalies on construction and layout and infrastructure needed to develop the site. The heaviest lifting we did, which was the traffic, what are the impact on this area of traffic, and to a lesser extent, the existing library township area for traffic. And not in as much detail, but certainly no less important, is the parking. And you'll see what we attempt to do with the parking is to show how all three sites park within the community. How our adjacent roads, how our Darby roads and our Eagle roads will impact the ability to park in the neighborhoods. So the first plan, what we did is you can see these black lines. These are what we call contour lines. They're actually elevations. And if you look down, this is not working as well. Oh, no. I lost my, there it is. I lost it. Well,
I just saw it
Did you?
up top.
there it is. In the bottom corner, as everyone would expect, the black lines are more frequent. They're 2-foot contour elevations. So what we have is a change of grade on this property. This elevation up at the ball fields is approximately 280 feet. This elevation down here at the skate park is 10 feet lower. This elevation all the way down at the intersection of Columbia and Darby is 48 feet lower. That's elevation 232. The first floor area of the police station is, as Chris mentioned, runs across kind of flat. That's about 280, the same as the ball fields. So as you can imagine, when a building gets put in between that, you have to accommodate that. You have certain grades you have to accommodate, existing and proposed,